met her as a client, and I've seen her journey and her story evolve, and she's been a massive inspiration to me and to many. So please give it up for the beautiful portrait artist, goddess, mother, hot chick, great friend, Lisa DeVries.
It's great to see you all here. I'm Lisa DeVries, and I am a visual artist, and I specialize in portraiture. But I haven't always been able to say that. And tonight I want to share with you a little bit of my art journey, how I've come to be able to call myself an artist, and what I went through along the way. So I think I've always been an artist. I think my whole life I was an artist. I drew as a child all the time. I was born in Southern California as the only child to hippie parents in the 60s in Southern California. And when I was little, I remember that my parents, every Saturday morning, they used to meditate naked, as you do, because that's how you do it. We all know that you meditate naked. And I couldn't watch my cartoons until they were done, much to my disgust. And so I used to draw them. And behind me, you can see some of my earliest forays into figure drawing. That's my mum and my dad. They look very peaceful, don't they? They look very meditative. And then the other two portraits are obviously some more recent paintings I've done with my parents. But that was every Saturday morning I went through that. But I always loved drawing people. It was never castles or unicorns. It was always princes and princesses. And so, yeah, I just always was drawing people all the way through my childhood. When I was 14, I did my first figure drawing class. And I went to a community education center, and I knew nothing about figure drawing. And I thought, oh, I'll go along, had a little sketchbook, and went along, and a woman came out with a robe, and she dropped it, and she was nude as well. I should be used to it by now, but I was like, whoa. I was like, is this what figure drawing's all about? You draw naked people. And there was an elderly guy next to me, and I don't think he knew what figure drawing was either, because he almost had a heart attack, and that's his first story. He was like, but I was hooked. I loved figure drawing. It was just all about capturing proportion and movement and musculature, just everything to do with people. So as I got older, and sort of growing up and deciding what you want to do, with your life and getting ready to go to university and what am I going to study, and my little art heart in there, that's what I call it, was like, let's be an artist. Let's study art. And I was like, oh, don't know about that. And I remember people saying to me, oh, if you're an artist, you're a starving artist, you can't make a living off it, it's not a real job, and I had internalized all of this, and I was like, oh no, that's a bit dangerous and scary, so we're not gonna do that. Let's do a bachelor's degree in psychology instead, which basically qualifies you for nothing in the States. I don't know about here, but you can't get a job with a BA in psychology at all. So I did that. But all through university, I was still taking art classes. My little art heart was still beating, and I was taking painting and figure drawing and art history. So I was still doing all these art classes. And I graduated, and then I thought, oh, let's go and do a OE as you do. We all go and do that. So I ended up in New Zealand, met a New Zealand dairy farmer, got married, and did that for the next 25 years, and had two lovely boys, and it was a good life. I don't regret it. It was a great life. It really was. But all through being a dairy farmer, I was still doing art. I was like a member of our little visual art society in Tapawera, and I was doing the odd portrait and entering competitions, and sometimes winning a few of them. And then I did the bachelor's degree in visual art and design at MIT and graduated in 2009. But I think that really, it was because I still would never have identified as an artist. I wouldn't have said I'm an artist. And I think that because I had a day job, I indulged myself with my art. And then about 6 years ago, after 25 years of marriage, my marriage imploded in a spectacular fashion. And I found myself completely adrift, without any idea of who I was, what my identity was. I was just completely, it was just very difficult. And I realized that for me, identity was very much tied into what I did for a living. And suddenly I had lost all of that, so I felt like I had completely lost my identity. And we are like that. Like we all say, oh, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And I was like, I have no idea. What do I, like who am I? What do I do? I don't know. And yeah, it was a really difficult time. And I stopped doing art completely. I didn't do any art for a number of years. And then I started working with Karen, and we spent a lot of time rebuilding sort of my sense of self. And we talked a lot about identity, and I remember she was saying to me, well, like what's this whole thing with this identity issue and it just being what you do for a living. And I said to her, well, like we all know that identity is made up of many things. I'm a mother and a sister and a partner and a friend and a daughter and et cetera, et cetera. But for me, the pinnacle of all that was very much what I did for whatever reason. And even at that time, I wouldn't call myself an artist. It's like, nah, that's over there. My little art heart's going, what's wrong with you? You suck, like, let me out. And the other thing that happened during this time is my girlfriend Maria, when I first met her, I was like, oh my God, I need to paint you. So I'd done no painting for quite a long time. And I saw her, she had her hair and she was gorgeous, and I was just like, I just need to paint you. So I'd done some photographs. And over lockdown, she got me some painting supplies, and I did a portrait of her, and it was the first portrait I'd done for probably 4 years. And it's in the foyer out there, and she's here this evening. So, yeah. And it just completely reignited my love of portrait painting. And I realized that, I suppose for me, if I can paint someone and show them something in themselves that they might not see themselves, if that makes any sense. It's like, if I can bring something out in you that you don't see in yourself, then that is a very powerful thing. And for me, it's a gift that I can give, but I can also receive. So, so that just, again, reignited my love of art and painting, and it was fabulous. And so, at the same time, I was talking to Karen, and we were working on the whole identity thing. And she's like, well, this is an exciting time as well. You get to redefine yourself as whatever you want to be. I mean, how many of us get to redefine ourselves from scratch? And so, again, art heart's going, pick me, let's be an artist. And I was like, And I said to Karen at the time, she's like, well, why can't you call yourself an artist? And I said, I have a list. I have many reasons why I'm not an artist. And she's like, well, let's write them down. Like, what's this about? And I'm like, okay, let's do that. And I actually went back through my notebooks of when we were working together, and I found the list. This is the list. I wanted to share the list with you. This is the list of why I couldn't be an artist. Right. So, and this is what she said, the limiting beliefs re art and being an artist. Limiting beliefs. 1, you can't make a living. It's isolating, you work alone. You must make a living or you're a hobbyist. You must have work in a gallery or be represented by a gallery. You're not a professional artist if it's not your primary income. You have to spend all your time marketing, like all of it. You have to paint every day and treat it like a 9-to-5 job. So these were all the reasons why I couldn't be an artist. And I've thought a little bit about this, and in all fairness, you have to do some of these things to be a successful artist. You do, like some of these things are necessary, and that's okay. Some of them are like completely made up. God knows where they came from, but some of them are true. But instead of embracing them as a challenge of something I could do, or, I was letting it stop me from doing what I could do, instead of saying, oh yeah, that's true, it's a challenge. But so anyway, so I worked through this with her quite a bit. And I remember I was at a Tribe event, and Tribe is a women's networking group that are also quite supportive of each other. And I had been showing them some of my art. I was painting again after painting Maria, and just gonna throw this in there. And so I was painting again, and I had shared some of my art. And about 18 months ago, I was standing up in front of the group and I said, you know what, I am an artist. I am an artist. And they all clapped, like you guys, they all clapped. And I cried, I literally cried. It was such an emotional moment for me to actually acknowledge my dream and to say, I am this person, I always have been, but it's always been too scary to embrace it. And so once I did embrace it, things started happening. And yes, I did make some of those things happen. Things don't just happen, but I got a date for an exhibition here at the Suter in the McKee Gallery in April. I'm doing a solo exhibition here, which is really exciting. I got a painting accepted into the Adams Portraiture Awards, which is now traveling the country. I joined a mentoring art program, which has been great. I found a studio space, which has really been spectacular. And little, commissions have been coming in. So it's still a work in progress, very much so. And I have to be careful not to derail myself. It's still, even now, I can go, just get a real job, just go and work for someone else and make some money, But I think that this is who I am and it's the path I want to go down. And it is going to be hard work, and I realize that, but it feels right. My little art heart is finally like, hey. So I guess what I'd like to leave you all with tonight is if your dreams don't match the rules, then change the rules, because everyone's dreams are really important, and the rules, we sort of like internalize negative rules and messages sometimes, and they're not really true. So, and if you want to know what this chair is doing here, this chair here, which I was going to sit in, but I thought I wouldn't be able to get back up, so. But my exhibition that's coming up in April is called the Floral Chair Project. And Maria and I have been taking this chair around places in Nelson and getting people to sit in it, kind of some random people, and then we've been photographing them and I've been painting them. And so some of them are the chair out around Nelson, and then some of them are interiors. So if you want to hear more about that, come and see me after the show, or visit my website. I've got some wrap cards out there, and have a fantastic night. It's just so lovely, and it's going to be an awesome night. So thank you very much.
Give it up for Lisa again.
Yay, Lisa!
There you go. And thanks to Donna for the speaker's wine.
Oh, thank you,
We're
Donna.
not allowed to auction wine.
No, that's lovely. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay, give us
All
a
right,
clap.
thank you.